Folks, hello and welcome back to the Naren Agarwal Show. आज का एपिसोड ना स्ट्रेट फायर है. फायर कह लो या ठंडक कह लो, कुछ भी कह लो, हम ऊंचाइयों तक जाने वाले हैं. बिकॉज टुडेज एपिसोड आई हैव अ माउंट एवरेस्टर. यस, यू हर्ड दैट राइट. अ पर्सन हु हैज क्लाइम्ड द पीक ऑफ माउंट एवरेस्ट. वो माउंट एवरेस्ट चढ़ चुके हैं. और कब? सिर्फ 23 साल की उम्र में. ही इज 27 नाउ. वन ऑफ द यंगेस्ट एवरेस्टर्स इन इंडिया, मिस्टर पार्थ उपाध्याय. पार्थ भाई, आई एम सो एक्साइटेड टू हैव यू ऑन द शो. वेलकम, नमस्कारम.
Thank you so much, and what an amazing introduction. And more than the introduction, your energy is very amazing, very joyful, and it's going to be an amazing to chat with you. Thank you for having me, man.
अरे पार्थ भाई, आई थिंक वी बोथ आर कनेक्टेड टू क्रियाज, मेडिटेशन, ऑल दैट, एंड उससे तो एनर्जी अपने आप हाई हो ही जाती है.
Yeah, it's all His grace.
करेक्ट. पार्थ भाई, सबसे पहले तो आपकी स्टोरी में, माउंटेनियरिंग की स्टोरी में जाते हैं. कि 23 साल की उम्र में आप माउंट एवरेस्ट चढ़ गए, यानी कि उसके पहले से इंटरेस्ट होगा, बहुत सारी इंक्वायरी होगी, एक डिजायर होगा. व्हाट इज दिस डिजायर? कैसे स्टार्ट हुई फुल माउंटेनियरिंग की आपकी जर्नी? प्लीज शेयर करें.
You know, mountaineering शुरू करने से पहले की बात करता हूँ थोड़ा सा मैं. When I was young, because I know a lot of young people listen to podcasts nowadays, and ताकि वो रिलेट कर पाए मेरे साथ, उनको ना लगे कि
करेक्ट.
मैं कुछ अलग ही मिट्टी का बना हूं. नहीं, मैं बिल्कुल
हाँ.
उसी ठोकरे खा के आ रहा हूँ जिंदगी की.
अरे आप यंग हो यार, 27 साल के हो तो एकदम.
नहीं, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. बट व्हेन आई वाज यंग, व्हेन आई वाज इन माय स्कूल डेज, आई वाज नॉट गुड इन स्टडीज, आई वाज नॉट गुड इन एनीथिंग. मतलब 100 मीटर भी अगर मुझे भागने बोलो तो मेरी बैंड बज जाए, वैसी
हाँ.
हालत थी मेरी. आई वाज सो लेजी. मतलब मुझे कुछ भी करने की इच्छा नहीं होती थी. एंड नाउ लेटर आई रियलाइज व्हाई, बिकॉज इट वाज लाइक, जो मैं हूँ वो कभी उस टाइम पे खुद को एक्सप्लोर या समझ पाया ही नहीं मैं. जो दुनिया मुझे कह रही थी वो कर रहा था. स्कूल तो स्कूल, एग्जाम तो एग्जाम. तो एंड for the first time in my life, at the age of 15, I went for a small trek. 10वीं की एग्जाम हुई थी. पता था कि एक बार रिजल्ट आएगा फिर तो पिटाई होनी है. तो उसके पहले तो उसके पहले जितना मजे कर सको करो. तो आई वेंट फॉर अ स्मॉल ट्रैक टू अ प्लेस कॉल्ड माउंट कलसुबाई. इट्स द हाईएस्ट पीक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र.
अच्छा.
बहुत बहुत ऊंचा नहीं है. 1600 मीटर्स ऊंचा ही है सिर्फ. तो वहां पे गया था मैं. इट वाज माय फर्स्ट एवर ट्रैक, एंड एज अ इंट्रोवर्ट पर्सन गोइंग आउट विद अ ग्रुप ऑफ 30 पीपल वाज लाइक अ बिग leap in my life.
हाँ.
But the moment I stepped out of the bus into that village around the mountains, for the first time in my life, and I'm not exaggerating or making a story out of it, but for the first time in my life, I felt like I've come home.
वाओ.
मेरे घर पे भी मुझे घर जैसा नहीं लगता था, बिकॉज हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ पढ़ाई करो, ये करो, वो करो, ये बॉसिंग
यू कुड
अराउंड.
नॉट बी. हाँ.
या अभी इसको थोड़ा सा काट देना, मम्मी पापा देख रहे हैं मेरे तो. नहीं, उनका तो बहुत सपोर्ट रहा है. एनीवेज, तो उस पर भी आएंगे हम लोग. Yes, and when I stepped out for the first time, I felt like I've come home. And that introvert, underconfident, khoya khoya bachcha suddenly came to life, and I was able to talk to people, आँख से आँख मिला के. For an introvert, it's a very big thing.
करेक्ट.
And something very amazing happened for me on that trek. I saw the sun rising from the summit of that mountain, and just this one thought came in my mind, that if the sunrise from this small hill is so beautiful, how would the sunrise be from the top of the world? And
Oh my
as a
God.
innocent 15-year-old mind, imaginative mind, I when I was going down from that mountain, I was constantly thinking about, I only knew Mount Everest. I had no idea what it takes or how it is done. But I could imagine, अगर यहाँ से इतना खूबसूरत है तो 30,000 फीट से कैसा होगा. तो बस
Wow.
वहीं से शुरू हुआ. And when I was going down, I made a promise to myself that no matter what it takes in this lifetime, I have to see that sunrise from the top of the world. उसके बाद मुझे 9 साल लगे, going through engineering and all that, and preparing myself. But that's how basically it started off on that fateful day.
वाह, मतलब आप एक्चुअली माउंट एवरेस्ट 9 साल पहले दिल से पहुंच चुके थे, शरीर को ले जाने में आपको 9 साल लग गए.
In some ways, yes, yes, yes,
वाह.
absolutely.
एंड ब्रदर, उसके पहले माउंट एवरेस्ट आप कहाँ सुने थे? ज्योग्राफी बुक्स में, टेक्स्ट बुक्स में लोगों से हम एक दो सुनते हैं, माउंट एवरेस्ट, माउंट अन्नपूर्णा, बाकी ज्यादा सुनते नहीं है हम। तो माउंट एवरेस्ट आपके दिमाग में तब से था?
नहीं मतलब देखो, माउंट एवरेस्ट के बारे में जो उसके साथ माउंट एवरेस्ट के साथ जो मेरा पहला इंट्रोडक्शन था वो बड़ा अजीब सा था. आई थिंक आई वॉज इन माई 5th or 6th grade. There was a chapter on Bachendri Pal ma'am. She is the first Indian lady to climb Everest, I think
करेक्ट,
in
करेक्ट।
80s, or I'm not sure about the date, but उनके ऊपर एक चैप्टर था. तो हमारे जो टीचर थे तो वो काफी पैशनेट थे फॉर हाइकिंग एंड ट्रेकिंग. तो चैप्टर के बाहर जाके उन्होंने बहुत डिस्क्रिप्टिव एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया
ओके।
कि ऐसी तैयारी करनी पड़ती है, इतना डेंजर होता है, ऐसे ग्लेशियर्स, एवलांचेस, ठंड होती है, लोग मरते हैं. इट वाज मोर लाइक, as far as I remember, it was more negative connotation from him, more scary image that he was trying to put in our minds to exaggerate the achievement of the people who climb Everest. But I remember this. I मतलब बहुत अजीब बात है ये एक्चुअली पहली बार मैं किसी को बोल रहा हूँ, ये किसी ने पूछा ही नहीं था मुझे ऐसा क्वेश्चन.
करेक्ट।
आई हैड मेड अ प्रॉमिस टू माई सेल्फ कि चाहे कुछ भी करूं मैं एवरेस्ट क्लाइम नहीं करूंगा. ये क्या पागलपंती है. दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट इंट्रोडक्शन टू एवरेस्ट
ओके।
इन माय 6th grade. ये ट्रैक के 4-5 साल पहले की बात है.
ओ माय गॉड ब्रदर।
And I mean, I sometimes still think of it, and that feeling of not wanting to climb Everest because of what he had told me is still so strong inside me. I remember, मतलब exactly मुझे पता है वो feeling कैसी थी. But
एंड पता है, कभी कभार ना, जो चीज आप एकदम जिसको अवॉइड करना चाहो ना, जो बोलो नहीं करना है, लाइफ ऐसा सिचुएशन आता है कि वही फेस करना होता है, एंड दैट्स द टेस्ट ऑफ लाइफ, इजंट इट?
yes,
मतलब मैं
yes.
बचपन में बोलता था शादी नहीं करनी, शादी नहीं करनी, शादी नहीं करनी, ऐसे कुछ हुआ, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू गेट मैरिड।
Oh, very nice.
एंड
Me
इट्स अ
too,
ब्यूटीफुल
actually.
थिंग।
Me too,
ओ,
actually. Oh,
ओ
very
यू
nice.
टू, वी आर बोथ एंगेज्ड।
Yes, absolutely. And actually, the stone on the ring is from the summit of Everest.
ओ माय गॉड
तो ये
ब्रदर।
मैंने कहीं नहीं बोला है किसी को, बट when I brought the stone back and I had a stone in my home, I thought that whoever the lady who I find, who I had never again thought to get married, like Everest, I never wanted to climb, I never ever wanted to get married. But
सेम
as you
ब्रदर।
said, जो नहीं करना होता है ना वही आपके लाइफ का ध्येय बन जाता है एक टाइम के बाद, पता नहीं क्या ये. लेकिन ऐसा होना भी चाहिए, बिकॉज अगर हम इस चीज की बात करें तो मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि जिस चीज से डर लगता है, डू इट फर्स्ट. व्हाई? बिकॉज इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ गेटिंग ओवर दैट फियर, you will become a much better human being. In some
वाह,
ways you will rise to the next level. So I think अगर कुछ नहीं करना है तो वो पहले करो. लोग मुझे
वाह,
कहते हैं कि आई एम स्केर्ड ऑफ हाइट्स, like when we go for some treks, they say I'm scared of heights, तो मैं उसको एज पे ले जाके पकड़ता हूँ, बोलता हूँ देख नीचे, देख, जब तक डर ना जाए तब तक देख.
वाह,
And after a point they are not scared anymore.
वाह।
And the only way to get over the fear is to bloody face it. ये
सो
कोई कोई थियरीज, कोई ये सब गेम काम नहीं आता. किसी चीज से डर लगता है तो करो, उसको अच्छे से निभाओ.
क्या बात है ब्रो। एंड आपने तो अलग टाइप का एक ये सेट कर दिया यार। जो लोग सुन रहे हैं, जो बंदे सुन रहे हैं, जो एंगेज्ड हैं, बोलेंगे भाई एवरेस्ट की चोटी से पत्थर लाके रिंग बना रहे हैं यहाँ। हमारी बंदी को मत सुनने दो ये बात।
नहीं,
बोलेंगे भाई ये तो अलग स्टैंडर्ड सेट कर रहे
नहीं,
हैं।
एब्सोल्युटली, एंड मैंने मेरी फियांसे को बोला. आई टोल्ड माय फियांसे, नाउ शी इज फ्रॉम फ्रांस
ओके।
and she speaks English, so I will speak this part in English. She will watch this for sure. But when I wanted to ask her for marriage, and I told her that I will not make a ring for you out of, you know, uh, sasta things like diamond.
करेक्ट।
Diamond is something you can buy with money,
या चीप,
but
एग्जैक्टली।
no matter how expensive it is, but you can still buy it. But to get that stone, it cost me 9 years. It cost me my life, and that has its own value. And I think that's why it makes it more beautiful.
दैट्स सो स्पेशल
And 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 if some boys are watching who might feel intimidated, I'm saying you don't have to climb Everest to do such things. In your own little way, be a little more creative, and you can, make your lady happy in
मैन।
whatever way You don't have to bloody climb Everest and get the stone. It's okay.
That's amazing, brother. That's a relaxer for a lot of the people listening. भाई इस पे आते हैं एवरेस्ट
जी.
पे.
हम्म.
um, तो 9 साल आप चढ़े. जैसे आप बता रहे थे आपकी टीचर ने बताया एक तो टफ जर्नी है, हमने भी सुना है. आई हैव हर्ड स्टोरीज लाइक एवरेस्ट में एक तो घोस्टली स्टोरीज ये सब सुनते ही हैं कि कुछ ये होता है, रात को सोने का ठीक ठिकाना नहीं, ये वो एवलांचेस ये वो. आई हैव हर्ड कि कोई डेड बॉडीज हैं जिनको लैंडमार्क बना गया है, बिकॉज जो डेड बॉडीज हैं वो तो डिके नहीं करती, बट पीपल हैव डाइड, तो उसको एक लैंडमार्क बना दिया गया है, माइलस्टोन बना दिया गया कि इनकी डेड बॉडी पे आप आओगे फिर आप आगे जाओगे तो रास्ता ऐसे निकलता है. सो व्हाट इज ऑल दिस, आप जब चढ़ रहे थे उसकी थोड़ी एक्सपीरियंस हमको बताएं, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल वो उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ सुना ही नहीं है फ्रॉम अ फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस.
What is it like to climb Mount Everest? It's a very loaded question. मैं थोड़ा सा टाइम लूंगा इसको
आराम से बताइए.
विस्तार में डिस्क्रिप्टिव वे में एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए, because no matter how hard I try, 26 letters can't explain what I felt up there. But just to take you through the process of climbing Everest, uh, it takes around 40 to 45 days to climb that mountain. Why does it take so long? Because you don't climb this mountain in one go. Jesse, right now you must be thinking you start from base camp, go to camp 1, go to camp 3, camp 4, summit, ऐसा. ऐसे climb नहीं होता है. Why? Because it is a high altitude mountain. It is the highest mountain. So at high altitude, the oxygen saturation in the atmosphere is very low. In other words, oxygen is very low as you go higher.
डेंसिटी बहुत कम है यहाँ पे, अगर इतना जगह लें तो उसमें ऑक्सीजन बहुत कम है.
So if we talk in numbers, there is only 30% oxygen on the summit of Everest as compared to sea level. So basically, to get the same amount of oxygen in your body, which you get here in one breath, you will have to take 3 to 4 breaths up there to get that same amount of oxygen in your system. So the most important thing on the mountain there is to acclimatize ourselves. Acclimatize matlab you get your body used to the rising altitude. So how we do that is we start from the base camp, go to camp 1, spend 1 or 2 nights, come back to base camp, rest for a few days. We go up to camp 1, camp 2, spend a few nights there and come back to base camp. Go up to camp 1, camp 2, camp 3, spend a night and come back to base camp. Why are we doing this? To introduce our body slowly to high altitude, ताकि body gets enough time to adjust, to acclimatize. So that is why it takes such a long time. And once you are acclimatized, you wait for a good weather window to go for the summit. And once you get a good weather window, it takes 5 to 6 days to go up, 5 days to go up, and 2 days to come down. So that is the scheduling part of it. The experience
Wow.
of it is very different because the more time you spend at high altitudes, the more screwed up your body is getting. मतलब आप वहां पे चाहे कुछ भी खाओ, your body, you're losing weight like nothing else, and not fat. You're losing muscles, you're losing your strength. So actually, before the expedition, we bulk up. We, with healthy fats and some muscles, so that when you are there, by the time you're done, you should not be like complete bone. So,
My God.
and I climbed Everest from China, from Tibet. There are two routes to climb Everest. The traditional route, where I think 99% people who attempt Everest climb from Nepal. मेरे में थोड़ा कीड़ा था, तो I chose the side from Tibet, which is technically much more difficult.
Wow.
It is a little more safer, but technically more difficult and challenging.
सो
Hmm.
ब्रदर आपने टिबेट का राउट क्यों चूज किया rather than the normal traditional Nepal route?
Oh, it's a very good question that why did I choose to climb from Tibet instead of where maximum people climb from Nepal? Well, many reasons. Uh, the first ever video I saw of Everest in 2010, when YouTube and everything was very new, when there were very limited videos on YouTube, was of an expedition from north. It was a 2004 expedition, and they had made a beautiful 7-minute video of the north side climb. and I kept watching it for a year, 2 years. Every day, subah sham, I used to just watch that.
Wow.
And I will share that link. I will share it with you. You can put it in the description below for people to watch that.
Yeah.
But so that's when I think subconsciously I felt more for the north side. The other reason is that since 2012,
Hmm.
since the last 1 decade, Everest has become very commercial,
Ah,
and more people are going there.
correct.
So every year we hear news of traffic jams happening in above 8,000 meters. So
Okay.
human traffic jam. So that is very, very dangerous. When you are above 8,000 meters, that area is regarded as death zone. Death zone, why? Because in that above 8,000 meters, which is
Ah.
26,000 feet, there
Hmm.
is not enough oxygen to sustain your life for more than 72 hours. And you can't eat anything, you can hardly drink anything, you
God.
can't sleep, and it's basically your body is dying slowly, your brain process is shutting down, your thought process is slowing down, your organs slowly are shutting down because they are getting
God.
less oxygen. So you are on a very borrowed time when you are at that altitude. So if at that altitude, and plus it's very cold, -30 -40 degrees hota on the summit day.
Holy
So
cow.
on that summit day, if you are not able to walk on your pace, your fingers and toes will get very cold, and something like frostbite will happen. Frostbite is a condition where the endings of your body's ears, lips, the toes,
फ्रीज हो
they
जाते हैं.
they literally die, and
God.
you have to amputate it. If you can't save it. So in the traffic jams every year people lose their fingers and toes like anything. So I wanted to avoid this, and lucky I did, because there is a very famous picture of a traffic jam that happened up there, which is shot by Nimsdai, a climber. So that picture went viral around the world. Human traffic jam up just below summit of Everest. It was on the same day when I was climbing, but from the other side.
Oh my
And
God.
on the other side, my experience was completely different. It was just me and my Sherpa walking. And 10 साल का सपना था मेरा, और मैंने ऐसा ही इमेजिन किया था कि it will be just me and the mountain. And I had the experience that I always wanted, because I chose to climb from Tibet. अगर उस तरफ
God.
से चढ़ रहा होता तो आगे वाले का पिछवाड़ा ही दिखता मुझे, बस, और कुछ नहीं दिखता. Really.
इतना ट्रैफिक जैम था. सो ब्रदर, हाउ इज द व्यू इन योर डिस्क्रिप्शन? मतलब ऑफ कोर्स हम डॉक्यूमेंट्री वीडियोस देख के आपसे जान सकते हैं, बट आपके वर्ड्स में आप क्या बोलना चाहोगे? व्यू कैसा था?
If I close my eyes, I can still see it like I'm standing up there. And no matter how many times I speak about this, it never, it never gets old for me. It's so fresh in my mind. It's been 4 years. But yes, how was the view from the top of the world? It was, it was good. And I will describe you how it looks from up there, okay?
या.
This whole journey, as I mentioned in trekking, started for me when I did that trek and wanted to see the sunrise
हम्म.
from that small mountain. I wanted to see the sunrise from top of the world.
करेक्ट.
And universe ka timing dekho. At 5 a.m. in the morning, 23rd May 2019, I reached the top. And exactly when I reached the top, there was nobody up there. Okay, I had the whole top of the world to myself. My Sherpa was a little behind me, 5 minutes, 4 minutes behind me. And in that very moment, I saw the first uh, part of sun coming out
Oh
from
my
the eastern
God.
side. And you are so high that if you look around you, you can see the curvature of this earth. In your experience, you can see the earth is actually round. And
Wow.
if you look at far west, you can see the earth, the land still in darkness. You can see stars in the western sky, and on the eastern side the sun is coming up, and all the clouds, all the big mountains around you are all below you, and there is literally no mountain, no place higher where you can stand on this earth.
अच्छा, मतलब आसपास क्लाउड्स भी नहीं है?
Like, it was all down, it was all below us, a layer below us,
आर यू
thousands of feet
सीरियस?
below us.
जैसे फ्लाइट
वैसे
में चढ़ जाते हैं तो क्लाउड्स एकदम नीचे लगते हैं वैसे?
बस वैसा ही कुछ समझो, but that experience was something else. And on the western side, after the sun came up a little bit, we could see a perfect triangular shadow of Everest being casted on the earth. It was a proper triangle. It's crazy. I mean, the view from up there was something else. And the 15, I spent around 15-20 minutes on the top, and slowly people were coming in, and my camera was completely frozen. I mean, I had no camera to take a bloody photo up there. My Sherpa had 2% battery. सो उसने बोला जल्दी, मैं फोन निकालूंगा, तू फ्लैग खोल, फोटो खींचना है। मैं बोला मुझे थोड़ा साइड में जाने दो, वेयर देयर आर नो पीपल। ही इज लाइक सिट सिट नाउ, अदरवाइज नो फोटो। तो लोगों के बीच में बैठा मैं, एंड दैट्स व्हाई द समिट पिक्चर ऑफ एवरेस्ट इज नॉट my favorite summit photo. It could
करेक्ट।
have been much better, but the battery conditions were like that. And I had taken banners of sponsors and people who supported me. किसी के साथ फोटो नहीं खींच पाया, just Indian flag and सदगुरु जी का रैली फॉर रिवर्स कैंपेन तभी चल रहा था।
ओके।
सो वो बैनर, वो दो समिट पिक्चर्स है मेरे पास और एक सेल्फी है बस।
अरे
And
वाह।
that was the experience. But those 15-20 minutes that I spent on the top of the world, nobody can take it away from me.
वाह ब्रदर। एंड पता है कभी कभार मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि वो जो मोमेंट्स हैं जिनके आप वेट करते हो और उधर ही जाके ना फोटो नहीं ले पाते, पर वो भी एक यादगार रह जाती है कि वो फोटो दिमाग में इतनी जोर की छप जाती है ना, जैसा फोटो चाहिए था वैसा नहीं आता, बट वो जो फोटो दिमाग में छपा है वो छप ही नहीं सकता वापस।
नहीं यार, वही मैं तो कहता हूँ, लोगों को जन्मों जन्मों तक याद रहेगा मुझे।
हम्म।
जो कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि वापस ना आए, लेकिन
शंभो। ब्रदर, जो प्रेपरेशन है, ट्रेनिंग है,
हम्म
मतलब
हम्म
आपसे सुन के रोमांटिसाइज करना कि वाह आप एवरेस्ट चढ़े, कैसे किया, बहुत टफ, पर
हम्म
इसके पीछे प्रेपरेशन क्या लगा होगा? व्हाट प्रेपरेशन वाज नीडेड इन टर्म्स ऑफ
हम्म
फूड, इन टर्म्स ऑफ डाइट, लाइफस्टाइल, डेली आप क्या करते थे? कैसे प्रिपेयर किया, वो भी 23 साल की उम्र में?
एब्सोल्युटली यार। सो यू नो there is a saying in our field that to go to the top of the world, you need to build a top of the world mind and a top of the world body. So nothing less than that will work. So I, to ये तो बहुत ही लंबा टॉपिक है, but just to keep it short, when I started, I had no guidance, no mentorship, nothing. So किसी ने मुझे कहा कि start running, so I started running like crazy, and then I injured myself and I lost so much weight that my immune system went down, and what I mean to say is I made a lot of mistakes when I was training for climbing mountains. And that's why, even if here there is somebody who is wanting to climb mountains in their life, and if you want to train for it, please don't train with half baked knowledge. There are people like me who are willing to help you guys. So get in touch with me, I'll be able to help you, because जो mistakes मैंने की वो आप ना करो. But yes, what I did was, if we talk about specifically Everest, so there are four dimensions which are needed to be worked on. The first is the physical strength, of course, your fitness. The second is experience.
हम्म।
The third is money. Only three pillars, sorry.
यस। दैट्स गुड,
So,
दैट विल कीप पीपल एंगेज जो सुन रहे हैं। हाँ।
yeah, फिटनेस, एक्सपीरियंस और पैसा। तो शुरू करना था एक्सपीरियंस से, बिकॉज सी इफ यू वांट टू बी एन इंजीनियर, यू कैन नॉट just go in a company and start working. You have to go through the training, you have to learn the skills, theories and things like this. So same for mountaineering. There
हम्म।
are there are institutes in India which teaches you to literally climb mountains. 5 or 6 institutes now, the government run. So I did my basic and advanced mountaineering courses. I cleared them, and then after I did them, now I had the skill sets needed to climb mountains.
हम्म।
So I always use this example that in these institutes I learned the ABCD of mountaineering. The goal was to write a book, which is Everest. वो एबीसीडी सीख के, बट यहाँ पे एबीसीडी सीखा। अभी वो एबीसीडी के वर्ड्स और सेंटेंसेस फॉर्म करने कहाँ सीखे मैंने? व्हेन आई वेंट फॉर रियल लाइफ एक्सपीडिशंस, शॉर्टर माउंटेन्स,
हम्म,
5,000 मीटर माउंटेन्स, 6,000 मीटर माउंटेन्स, with good guides, good people who can, teach me, who can show me the right things. uh, so that's where I learned how to form sentences and words out of those abcd that I had
yeah,
learned. And that's the experience part of it. I climbed around 12 to 15, something like that, 12 to 15 Himalayan peaks before Everest.
wow,
So people unfortunately know me only for Everest, but I've climbed much more difficult mountains than that.
okay,
Everest is the highest, but not the most difficult.
okay,
Yes. So that is the experience part. And so the physical fitness part for me, thoda bahut here and there I was doing for my previous expeditions that I did. But if I talk about how I trained specifically for Everest, see, if you want to be a swimmer, what do you have to do? Swim. If you want to be a cyclist, what do you have to do? Bloody cycle.
correct.
If you want to be a mountaineer, bloody climb mountains. That is the best training. Really. I
Correct.
mean, so keeping this in mind, I took a house in Karjat area in Maharashtra. It's in the Sayadri Mountains, a small town. Uh, and I
Wow.
shifted there just by myself, uh, and isolated myself in a way from all the things which we generally call distractions, like going out and eating with friends and drinking beers and yeah.
Partying, all that, yeah.
Yes, it takes up. I mean, I'm not saying if it is right or wrong. It is just that when priorities in life change, your lifestyle also has to change.
क्या
So
बात है.
I isolated myself completely from these distractions, and I spent each and every second of my life. I invested in building myself up physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually up to a level where I'm ready for Everest. So physically, तैयारी कैसे की मैंने? If I take you through a day in my life, which will give you an idea of how the training
Exactly.
schedule used to be like. I used to wake up at around 3:30 or 4 in the morning every day. And this is very, interesting for me, because even at 9 or 10 in the morning before this, mother used to literally kick me to wake me up कि उठ आलसी उठ.
आप 9-10 बजे तक भी नहीं उठते थे इसके पहले?
नहीं मतलब अगर कुछ काम नहीं है तो आई कैन स्लीप टिल आफ्टरनून. आई मीन अगर कुछ काम है तो आई हैव ऑलवेज had never had a problem with waking up. But for the first time in my life, I used to wake up a minute or two before the alarm, because the excitement in me to put in that bloody work, that became the bloody goal for me. That, and
Wow.
waking up in the morning never felt like a burden. It felt like such a blessing that okay, I get
Wow.
another day to invest in my in what I care for.
Wow.
So this is the power of doing what you love. That your even the effort, the work that goes in does not feel like work anymore. It's
क्या
all
बात है ब्रो.
so I used to wake up at around 3:30 or 4 in the morning, maximum by 4, and I used to do my meditations that I had learned from Sadhguru, and some breathing practices. And at around 5:30 at the break of dawn, I used to leave my house. Some days either for a long run, some
Hmm.
days all of this in the mountains. Okay, sometimes I used to carry a backpack of 25-30 kg up on the mountain, filled with rocks and water gallons inside. So I did this for 2 years. 2017 to 2019 was my preparation time. 2 years I dedicated myself for Everest. And in the evening, I used to go to a local gym. The village where I was staying, they have a very nice gym there, surprisingly. So I used to do my strength work there. So stamina
Wow.
in the morning and strength in the evening. And you know, people ask me this question about mindset, कि how did you get the mindset to climb Everest? The
Everest.
fourth pillar was mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So yeah, there is one thing I used to do which really surprises me now. I mean, it was absolutely stupid, but it really made me mentally so robust. There is something. called as, which I named, death zone training.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm with a disclaimer telling everybody here that nobody do this. Okay, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Do as I say, don't do as I do. So, why death zone training? Because as I said, above 8,000 meters, that area is known as death zone. Okay, so up there, practically what happens is three things: you cannot eat, you cannot drink much, and you cannot sleep. So these three things I wanted to simulate back home for my training.
Wow. Okay.
So I used to do 20-24 hours hikes once in a month. मतलब अकेला निकल जाओ या तो कोई गांव वाला गाइड लेके, ताकि if in the night something happens, somebody is there. I always kept a guide with me.
Correct.
And just hiking 24 hours, no morsel of food, no sip of water, and not a single second of even resting, walking at a comfortable pace with the kind of weight I will have on my Everest summit push day. Because on the summit push day of Everest, you are walking for around 16 to 20 hours. You are going to be doing that, so you better prepare for that. And in that training, this dead zone training, I mentally became so confident about my abilities that even 24 hours I can go without water, food, and rest. This was
क्या
very needed.
बात है
It
ब्रो,
was very
क्या
needed.
बात है.
So that's how I prepared physically. And the fourth dimension, money, which was the biggest struggle, which is still the biggest struggle for me and most mountaineers in India right now. I will start with an example. Okay, do you know by any chance how much does it cost to climb Everest, by the way?
Yeah, actually I was going to ask you that question कि कितना रुपए लगता है एवरेस्ट क्लाइम करने के लिए.
If you
I
had to guess,
I think most people will think it's cheap, but I would think it's kind of expensive क्योंकि जो गियर है, जो प्रोटेक्शन गियर है, जो खाना है, और 45 दिन जा रहे हो. I don't know, मतलब
एक
I would
नंबर बताओ,
I
take a
would
number.
say 10 लाख रुपए.
It takes around minimum 30-35 lakh rupees.
30 to 35 lakh rupees.
Yes, it takes
God.
30 to 35 lakh rupees to climb Everest. It's a very, very expensive dream to have in a way. So,
Correct.
yes, see, physically preparing myself or gaining the experience was all in my control. But this money part at the age of 22, 23 was not in my control, because just graduated out of college and not taken a job in that,
Hmm.
chosen a life, of climbing mountains, and no background in family from big businesses or things like this. So I just went online and I saw that, okay, there are these mountaineers who wear Red Bull t-shirts and Mountain Dew and whatever. I thought that, okay, I had no idea, really no idea. So I started approaching these brands. Most of them never replied, of course. Now I understand why. And I personally spoke to around 150 companies, like personally. And
Oh my
just to
God.
let you know what I mean, the kind of time that was for me. I used to stay 2 hours away from Mumbai, right? In Karjat.
Correct.
So after my morning training from 4 in the morning to say 8, 8:30, I used to be back. I used to come home. I used to clean my house. I used to cook my food. And then by 9:30 or 10, I used to catch a bloody local train, which is super crowded, Mumbai local trains, go to these meetings only to be rejected, dejected, demotivated, and completely trashed out.
My God.
Love, and meeting after meeting, meeting after meeting, my energies were going down in some ways. But I never in my mind had a doubt that I will not go. This is
Correct.
something that people don't understand. It
Correct.
had already happened for me, as you said in
Correct.
the beginning.
Correct.
It it had already happened, and I don't live by plan B, plan A or die. Then plan A will work.
On all your bridges. सही बात है.
फिर plan B नहीं होता मेरे life में. So I had to make it work. So I was trying my best, making mistakes and learning from it. And I will give you one example which will give you an idea of what the perspective of mountaineering in India for general people is. I went to the sports minister of Maharashtra back then. नाम नहीं लूंगा, लेकिन I went to him, and for the last 6 months, I was putting in applications and following up every day, every day. No response, nothing. They lost my application 3 times, and the minister was there at that day. So I requested that can I meet him. He's like, okay. 2 minutes. I went in, I asked him that, okay, this is my application, 3 applications you've lost. I mean, is it no? Tell me no. Just at least don't keep me running here and there. Na bol do, it's okay. But instead of saying no, he told me, Parth, sit down. He was holding my application and in his hand and looking, and then he put it on the side and he was like, okay, we don't consider mountaineering as a sport, and we don't consider you mountaineers as athletes. So stop wasting my time. Stop wasting your time. You are a young man. You have better things to do. You are
Hmm.
fit. You are strong. Get into a competitive sport where you can get a medal for your country. We can support you in that. But they don't understand that when you are climbing a mountain and when you are unfolding the national flag on the top of the world, that feeling is no less than bringing a gold medal for your country in the
Wow.
Olympics,
So
you
true,
know.
man. So
And
true.
unfortunately, mountaineering, not unfortunately, actually, fortunately, mountaineering is not a competitive sport. That's why it is not counted in sport, because sport, every game has a competition. It
Correct.
has medals and things like this. That's what makes it more exciting for people to watch.
Correct.
But mountaineering is just competition with yourself, literally with
Correct.
yourself. आप जो कल थे उससे आज better हो कि नहीं. And when you are up there in the mountains, जब लगी पड़ी होती है, but if you are still able to take that next step, that is the competition. That is
क्या
where the real
बात है.
competition lies. But yes, that was the condition of our governments, of our corporates. Even now, it has not changed. But how I was able to raise the money is I started crowdfunding.
Ah.
And I was somebody who, grown up in a very respected family. Matlab, asking for even 1 rupee from somebody is like, no, we'll
Yeah.
bloody die, but will not ask for money from anybody.
Yeah.
But then I quickly realized that beggars like me can't be choosers. So I have to do what it takes and do what is
Wow.
needed. So I
Wow.
started crowdfunding, and to my surprise, people contributed. Somebody gave 500 rupees, somebody gave 5 lakh rupees, and these were people who were following me, my friends, my family, my cousins, my relatives, everybody according to their capacity they gave in.
Wow.
And around 2000 people contributed to this whole campaign. It had gone viral across India back then, 2017-18
Wow.
में. And 2000 लोगों की दुआएं थी मेरे साथ. And that's
क्या
what made
बात है.
me work more hard, that okay, now it's not just me. There were people like some young guy said that, okay, my parents had given me 50 rupees for my breakfast today. I skipped my breakfast, but I'm sending you that
Oh my
money.
God.
So when people do this, it's become much more than just you,
क्या
become much
बात है.
more than just you. So you have to do justice, and that is why, I the experience was much better than if I had 50 lakh rupees laying down with me. या अगर कोई sponsor कर देता, this struggle, this blessings, this connection with people would never have happened. And this, I cannot end this segment without mentioning my parents. uh, when they saw that the whole world is contributing towards my expeditions, they also thought that, okay, kuch to dena chahiye is pagal ko. So my parents and my father and me together, we took a very big loan in the end. Around 30% amount was still remaining. We took a big loan,
Wow.
which I'm still repaying as of 2022, 19th October.
Oh my.
Uh, so we took a big loan, and he put a lot of things on stake, on risk to get me to the top. But I think it was a combined effort, and I was just a vehicle. I never feel like I've done anything big, because if it was not for these people, मैं कुछ नहीं हूँ यार. I'm nothing without them, and I owe it all to them.
Wow. पार भाई व्हाट अ फिनोमिनल जर्नी. मतलब आपका जो बैक स्टोरी भी है ना, वो भी क्रेजी है. मतलब कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि ये मन किया माउंटेनियरिंग तो चल के चल गए एवरेस्ट में. उसके पीछे का जो स्ट्रगल है, आप वहां रहते थे, फिर मुंबई आना, मीटिंग्स करना, ना बोलना जाना, देन क्राउड फंडिंग का आइडिया लेना. अमेजिंग. व्हाट अ ट्रूली
Thank you,
पावर
man.
पैक स्टोरी.
Thank you.
मेरे को आप कह रहे हो कि यू आर रियली थैंकफुल फॉर द पीपल यू आर विथ, एंड दैट शोज द ह्यूमिलिटी. Which also takes me to, I want to ask you the person who climbed with you, the Sherpa. ये Sherpas के पीछे एक अलग कहानी है. Sherpas are a community of people, if I correctly understand. They live in the mountains, and even जो हम कहानी सुनते हैं, टेंजिंग नॉर्गे, एडमंड हिलरी के शेरपा थे, एंड उन्होंने पहली बार उनको लेके गए एंड माउंट एवरेस्ट। और कहते हैं ऐसा एडमंड हिलरी फर्स्ट माउंट एवरेस्ट क्लाइंबर है, बट डू यू थिंक सो, डोंट यू थिंक शेरपाज और उसके पहले भी जा चुके हैं, बस वो क्योंकि गोरे स्किन के नहीं थे, अंग्रेज नहीं थे, उनका नाम नहीं आया?
नहीं, एक्चुअली इन दिस केस ऑफ सर एडमंड हिलरी एंड तेंजिंग नोर्गे, उनके पहले कोई क्लाइम नहीं हुआ था। एक्सपीडिशंस हुए थे, अटेम्प्ट्स हुए थे।
ओके।
सिंस 1924 अटेम्प्ट हुआ था। द फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट वाज 1924 एंड सर एडमंड हिलरी क्लाइम्ड एंड तेंजिंग नोर्गे सर क्लाइम्ड इट इन 1953. So
ओके।
for almost 30 years attempts were made, but they were the first two people to reach there.
एक्चुअली गो, हाँ।
But being white, I mean, it brings you more attention and things like this. But I will tell you the mindset of Edmund Hillary. I mean, I don't know him as a person, I've never met him. But this one thing that Norgay and Edmund Hillary mutually decided is that we will never, until our deaths, share who reached the top first. It is two of us who did this, and that was Edmund Hillary's idea. So he understood the importance of Tenzing Norgay sir there.
ओके, हाँ।
And see, if either of them said that okay, I stepped first, then दूसरे वाला history से जाएगा ही जाएगा. For example, the moon landing, Neil Armstrong.
हमको पता ही नहीं है सेकंड कौन है। हाँ।
A few minutes after him, Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon,
हाँ।
but nobody knows. So they didn't want this to happen because it
वाह,
was it was a teamwork, and this is the spirit of mountaineering. It's
क्या
not about
बात
you
है।
anymore.
That gives me
So
goosebumps, man, actually.
yes, man.
Never thought about this. क्योंकि अगर फर्स्ट का नाम आ जाता, then I
हाँ,
wouldn't know the name of the second because I
yes,
would never be taught in the geography books. It was
very
because
natural,
it's both of them. It's always there. Wow.
very natural. Yeah, that's how
So
it was.
wow. So tell me more about the Sherpas. मतलब जो Tenzing Norgay थे, he was a Sherpa, right? Without
Mhm.
Sherpas, it's pretty much improbable to even attempt back in the day and even now to
You know,
climb Everest, right?
absolutely, absolutely. So, what are Sherpas? Sherpas are basically a community of people. They originally come from the land of Tibet, from Buddhist origin. Now they live in Nepal in high altitudes. Now, because they live in high altitudes, they grow up in the mountains in a much more different way than city people. And just to fetch a bucket of water, they have to go down or up, and their whole life is going up and down, up and down. So it builds them their body strength, their cardiovascular strength in a way that city people who train, they can
Hmm.
never reach there.
They can never reach that.
They can never reach there. And plus, because of being born in high altitudes, genetically, they are genetically more evolved to climb in high altitudes.
Correct.
What I mean by that is, see, the blood is what carries oxygen in our system, right? So each drop of their blood carries at least 10-20% more oxygen than a sea level person's body. So when they say climbing is in their blood, they literally mean climbing is in
Literally.
their blood. And that is them. And it is very fair to say this, that if it was not for the Sherpas, 99.99% people, including me, would not be able to climb Mount Everest,
Holy
including me,
cow.
because the ropes are fixed by them, the food is made by them, the heavy loads are carried by them, rescues, evacuations, everything is done by them. We are just walking in their footsteps. And I owe so much to the Sherpas. I mean, and they are fantastic people, very humorous people, very loving people. And I will tell you about my Sherpa who was with me on Everest. Unfortunately, he is not anymore. He died of cancer a few months ago, and he literally saved my life up on Everest. I am here today because of him. And whenever I speak about him, I get a little emotional because it was not just another person I have lost. I have lost a lot of people in the mountains, a lot of people in front of me. I've lost my guides, my friends, but this person saved my life, and he was a part of the most important days of my life. And that bonding, that connection that had happened with him, I cannot express it. So, it was because of him that I was able to summit Everest. And yeah, I mean, I can go on speaking about him. His name is Funaru Sherpa, and very mast banda, very nice guy.
Dynamic guy.
And he's, yeah, I mean, I owe it to him, man, always.
Wow. Wow. Condolences to Punuru Sherpa, and I can just imagine the kind of bonding that you make with somebody when you're going through such an expedition and उनके साथ चढ़ के जाना और आना. That 50 days is equivalent to 50 years of bonding, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Parth bhai, want to ask you this question. How do you keep your mind peaceful when you're going through this journey or going through mountains and when it gets really tough? What's one way to keep the mind peaceful? Because if the mind is not peaceful, then you will take the wrong steps. You'll go up and down. It'll be end. So how to keep the mind straight?
Yeah, this is again like my views on mind and peace. It's a little abrasive for people, because people
Yeah,
are, because all these concepts have now come from the West. Nobody in India, I shouldn't be saying these things. I'm gonna get a lot of hate, I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
But nobody in India was like depressed or things like this a few decades ago. I mean, just their lifestyle was such that it kept them physically and mentally robust. Not everybody, of course, but
correct,
most of them.
correct.
But yeah, on the mountain, if I have to be peaceful, see, there is nothing like, I very honestly, I'm not, you know exaggerating or anything. I am always, really always peaceful, because after climbing so many mountains, after going through so much hardship, physically and mentally, in some ways a distance has been created between me and my body, me and my mind. So whatever is happening on the outside, or in my mind, or in my body, doesn't really affect me. I respond to it the way it is required to rectify that situation if something good is not happening. But I don't remember being stressed. My life is really not, ideal. A lot of things are going on in everybody's life which can create stress, but I choose not to let it affect me. And this is a choice every human being has. If you are a
Wow.
dog, if you are a cat, you are just a reaction. You only know reaction, you don't know response. So when a situation arises, don't be like an animal and respond, and react. Should be able to consciously take your time and respond. So if you do that, if you create a little distance between your body and your mind, I think, peace and everything, it's not something you aspire for. It is always there. And
Wow.
and when in the mountains, when it gets difficult, yes, of course, mind starts playing, tricks on you. Like, okay, it's okay if you quit, if it's okay if you go, it's okay, take it easy, go tomorrow, all these excuses. But again, this is the mind saying, not me. That is a big difference that people need to understand, that when
Wow.
mind says something, it is not you. It is mind saying. Mind is a tool that you have. है ना? अगर, yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
so what keeps me grounded up there is remembering that why am I here? I'm here because I love this. I love the hardships that comes with the mountains. I'm in love
Wow.
with that.
Wow.
And when I think of it, okay, the pain becomes such a ecstatic pleasure. Really, I'm telling you, I mean, सांस फूल रही होती है, ठंड लग रही होती है, पैर दुख रहे होते हैं, लेकिन अच्छा लगता है यार. Because it makes you grow in a way that you can't imagine, man. And not
Wow.
just physically and mentally, but spiritually also. Because if you look at all the sadhana, all the kriyas or all the meditations that the yoga teaches in the from the yogic sciences, it is the fundamental effort is to distance yourself from your body and your mind.
So
And for
true.
me, it has happened through climbing mountains. When it is so difficult, but you are still able to push through. It means that, you know, these pains have stopped affecting you in a way.
Correct. Wow, that's powerful. Brother, since you speak about yoga meditation, what's a course or something that's really impacted your life? I know we were sharing a little bit, but I would like for you to speak a little deeper.
Yes, absolutely. So अगर थोड़ा सा इसके डेप्थ में जाना है तो I will tell you who invaded my life forcefully. It was Sadhguru, and he, you know, I was someone who never went to any temples. Even if I went to temples with my parents, sometimes forcefully, I used to stand in front of the idol like this, never, joining hands. I was like that, rebellious. Because, all du- during my growing up, it was all, just being forced upon me. The beliefs, इसको मानना है, ये करना है, क्यों
Correct,
पूछूं तो किसी के पास जवाब नहीं है,
correct,
वो भी अंधे की तरह कर रहे हैं.
correct.
So I was like that. So Guru for me was like a big no.
Yeah.
And कोई भी दाढ़ी वाला मुझे दिखे ना, तो मैं समझ जाता था. आई हैड दिस परसेप्शन कि ये सब उल्लू बना रहे हैं,
Correct,
सब बिजनेस कर रहे हैं.
correct.
Really, that was the perception. I'm not shy of saying this. But 2014-15, Sadhguru started popping up on my Facebook. I used to simply scroll it away, कि इसको
Yeah.
तो नहीं देखूंगा, कौन है ये. But but one day my friend sent me a link of a rapid fire round with Karan Johar, Sadhguru and Karan Johar. Now that friend of mine, I was like, why the hell are you sending me this? What are you watching? What has happened to you? So then she said that no, just watch it. Then I watched it. In the first 1 minute, I had tears in my eyes. That okay, I knew that okay, this is something. This person is not an ordinary person. What he said in that rapid fire round was beautiful and mind blowing, but his presence, his eyes, his posture, his tone, his, the vibration of his voice, it just completely, blew me away. Started listening to him and started doing a meditation called Isha Kriya, which is a very simple meditation available for everybody. It's on YouTube. Just type Isha Kriya, you'll get the meditation. It's a very, very powerful tool. I wanted to get initiated into inner engineering. So, inner engineering is a course for people who don't know, offered by Sadhguru. And in that, he initiates you into a yogic kriya called Shambhavi Mahamudra. So, kriya is the most powerful way to grow spiritually. You really work only on your energies, not on your mind, not on your body, nothing, just your energies.
Correct.
So being initiated by him was, I was waiting for it for a very long time. But due to whatever reasons, it never happened because I was full into mountaineering training. It used to happen on offline 7 days. I could not afford 7 days for this. That was not the priority in my life back then. So it never happened for me. But this thirst was there, and
Correct.
I kept on listening to him. And when I was listening to his videos, a complete rewiring of my brain happened. In a way, I got a much broader perspective to look at life, to look at world. All the dualities, the judgments, the good and bad started vanishing just because of listening to him. And then finally, I got initiated in September 2021 last year by Sadhguru. And initiation, for people who don't know, initiation is not just learning intellectually, it is a literal transfer of energy which only a master, only a guru can do. Not a fake guru, but a real master can do. And what is real, what is fake, nobody can explain. If you have the perception, you will recognize them. Okay. But when I got initiated by him, that initiation day, I am telling you, I've never experienced something like that. And it was an online initiation. It was not even physical presence. But when I got initiated by him, it was, my life has not been the same after that. And not one day has gone by when I have not practiced at least Shambhavi. And for all of you who are watching, take some time out, take some money out. Now, don't say, why does he charge for this? Bloody everything in the world costs. Okay, pay for it. Pay for it. go to the course, do it, take my word for it, and you will see magic happen to you.
Wow. Brother, I can, of course, I can't
Completely.
describe in the ways that you describe, but I've been
Yeah.
through the course. I've been to multiple courses. I went to the Sadhana Pada program.
Wow.
It has been more than revolutionary, which I know the time does not permit to share all that right now. But I definitely second all that you said. It's been life transforming for me,
Absolutely, man.
and it's
Sadhana Pada
amazing
has
to
been
see and
Sadhana
hear
Pada
from. Yeah,
has been something I wanted to do, but
yeah,
it's not happening. The compulsions of the world, the loans and everything
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm.
Maybe soon.
Yeah.
And like they say,
Yeah.
when the student is really ready, the master appears. And for a lot of us, we have that aspiration, but when that really grows deep within us, some solution always appears in the outside, in form of a master or a grace. So truly second what you said, Anna. So good to talk to you, Parth bhai. Um,
Same here, man. Same here.
what a fire episode. It's been packed with jewels of knowledge on how to master your body, your mind, your journey. And one great, amazing quality about you is you're a great mountaineer, but at the same time, you're a great communicator. You know how to describe and say things, and the way you describe the summit of the Everest, it's truly amazing to
I
hear
speak
from
from my heart, and what you speak from the heart, we preaches heart.
you. Love that. So good to have you on the show. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Parth bhai.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parth bhai. Hello and welcome again. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. If you did, share it with one person that you can help. जिसको इससे मदद मिले. And if you like this podcast, you want such more insightful information and knowledge, check out the other podcasts right here. I will see you very soon in another episode.